Um, Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Man Gen Studio. My name is Emilio Garcia, and as usual, is Gavi here with me. How are you, Gavi?
Hi, Emilio. Pretty fine.
Very good. I hope you're having a great day. I hope everybody is having a great day. Today, we are going to cover a topic related to pay media and B2B lead gen, which is creating a multi-channel pay media strategy that matches your B2B lead gen strategy or tactics, right? It's a mouthful of a title. But I think obviously that is something that is quite important to understand how different channels on pay media can work together to improve your lead generation efforts on your B2B companies. So really excited about it. I don't know if you want to start with, a little introduction, Gab, if you feel so.
It's okay. I think that this is a really important topic because of what lead generation means to us, right? And the processes that it involves, like identifying, attracting, and converting those potential business clients or customers that we will have in these processes. And I would just like to emphasize that this is about always forging that valuable relationship in the business world through this process that we're going to build, which is obviously creating that multi-channel paid media and strategies. So,
I agree. And so I think we should obviously start understanding the role of lead generation in our overall demand generation strategy. And as we said in other episodes, while demand generation is not necessarily focused solely on generating leads, especially in some cases where you, for example, are working on account based marketing where your buying committee is already identified. You are not trying to get or discover those leads. You already have them on your database coming from your business intelligence tool. So lead generation is not as important in some cases, but still, it is understandable that marketing in general is being measured more and more by performance metrics, and lead gen is one of the most popular ones. If even if, it can be misused to some extent. So in that content, it's understood that marketing might have a metric related to creating or bringing new leads, usually coming from the multiple channels that the website has available. Forms are the most common, but as I always say, I remind people to have an omni-channel approach to lead generation, right? So phone calls are leads as well, right? People writing into your share inboxes are lead as well. People engaging on your chat are leads as well. And obviously, everyone that download any other piece of content that is not necessarily commercial intent one, like your premium offers, newsletter subscriptions. So really, really important that you take a look at all the places where someone can engage with your brand and request information and consider those as leads. Not necessarily qualified, not necessarily commercial intent ones, but definitely something that marketing needs to manage and hold. So that's, in a nutshell, what we mean by lead generation. And I feel that with that, we should start talking about, that multi-channel pay media strategy. The first one is why is multi-channel? I think that we can draw here from the traditional marketing space where if you were to if the internet didn't exist, you will have still multiple channels to engage with someone: billboards, radio ads, TV ads, one-on-one conversations, mail. So digital is similar in that sense. As the internet has evolved, we have more and more places where you can advertise, but the way that you classify them is unique to the internet as well. And so, in my mind, we have, in a very broad sense, two big categories of advertising channels: channels that use intent as the way of targeting users, and channels that use context as ways of targeting users. And I will provide a couple of examples on those. So, intent is because of what the person is looking for. I will target that person on the advertising. Best example, obviously, is search engines. And the best known platform, obviously, is Google. It's not the only one. There's also Microsoft Bing. But the idea there is that the keywords are the way that we create audiences. And because of the intent of the user, we present answers in the form of advertising that answer those questions or provide more information. The biggest advantage of intent channels is that obviously you have better understanding where the user is in their buying journey. The biggest disadvantage is that usually, and that improving over time, you don't have a lot of information about the person that is doing the search because of privacy concerns, and not everybody is logged in and have a lot of data about themselves on search engines. And in the flip side is context. And the best examples are social media platform, and the best platform for B2B buyers will be LinkedIn. Right there, we are using the information that the platform has about us, company that we work for, seniority, job title, function, groups that we belong to create audiences that can present our message to the buyer. But just like in intent channels, the biggest drawback is that while also it's possible to draw some information with business intelligence data about people's intent, you rarely have a lot of it because they are not searching. They are just looking at their phones usually. And therefore, you are here in greater control of context, but in not so great control of intent. Those two big ones have like a middle ground. And I kind of like share those already, right? So, for example, in display campaigns on Google, you can have campaigns that are where the audience is based on what people search in the past. So that's a mix of intent, but this is still context because the ad is not triggered by someone searching something. Another great example for me are places like Quora or Reddit, where the intent is based on the name of the subreddit or the question being asked on Quora, but the ad is not an answer to the query itself, right? So you can say, well, if I'm an IT managed service company and I am on the, I want to advertise on the Cisco certified professionals group or whatever, I know that I will have a great match between the intent of that and the ad, but they are not searching for me, right? So there's a middle ground, and I think that will happen more and more as these platforms evolve. But in general, that's the way that probably we should see those all channels, and obviously how we will tailor our strategy to that. So I think that's important to understand or see. I don't know if you there, Gabby, you have any comments or insights.
Yeah, about like the engine advertising itself. Like, I think that I would like to say that this type of search is excellent for capturing like prospects that are at the moment they express an interest or a need, right? And they will provide direct answers to the user queries and drive obviously highly relevant traffic that we do. Obviously, that's what we want. And on the other side, like you said, on display type of advertising, I think that ads are great for building brand recognition for obviously your company and fostering a real brand recall. And this type of advertising can help you to reach a wider audience and serve as a reminder that your business you have what they need or they might need, and obviously that includes products or services. Obviously, I think that a difference between those two.
Yes, I agree. And you have touched on something important. I think will be a great cue to move to the next section, which is what are the advantages of having a multi-channel approach for your lead generation? One of the obvious one is that you want to spread your bets, right? It wouldn't be it wouldn't be wise to just invest on one channel because then you will become reliable on that one, right? If something happens and Google changes the rules for your Google advertising campaigns or platform, or LinkedIn does, then you will be at the mercy of the app platform for your volume of leads and your impact. So yes, I think I've told in previous episodes, when you are starting and when you have limited budget, I highly recommend that you focus on one channel first and try and test the one that works the best for you and focus on that one. So I'm not saying that you should start with 20 of them at the beginning, but as you progress and improve that channel, probably you will saturate it. And as you have success, probably you will get more funding. So that extra funding is helpful to diversify across channels to protect yourself, changes on platforms. That's for me the biggest advantage of having multi-channel approach. The second biggest advantage is that, as we were saying, you will be capable of tailoring intent and context, and that matters because one usual mistake is that because intent channels like Google Chat, Google Ads usually provide a higher correlation to performance in the form of leads, which is what people is sometimes after, then they rely heavily on Google Ads and search channels because that's the channel that brings them the most amount of inquiries, right? And at least you can show some success to your salesperson. But the challenge is that you can just get so much of that without building the brand, right? So yes, and I use B2C examples here rather than B2B because I feel it's easier to convey to everyone listening and watching this. Yes, you want to capture all the people that are searching for a smartphone if you are a smartphone builder. But it would be even better if they were searching straight away for the name of your product or for your brand rather than searching generically for your product, right? So in the absence of brand recognition, the next best thing that you can do is to bid for people searching for the category of the product. But it's not best search. The best search is that if they just search for iPhone Pro rather than a smartphone, right? So, and the only way to build up that search term is to promote the product, to promote the message across the right people, which is that context part, right? That's what display and social media and YouTube ads can do to some extent that search will find very challenging to accomplish. So that
Yeah.
for me, that's the second advantage or importance of the multi-channel approach, right? And the
And yeah, I think that I want to highlight something here about the advantages of multi-channel approach because not only I think that B2B landscape is so diverse, like you will have so many type of people going through the internet. You will have to obviously compromise different or various industries in this process, roles and decision makers and stuff like that. And each of those, they might have different preferences for communication and information also. So sources. And I would like to say that the way that multi-channel approach will help you is just that, like, imagine that you have different segments of, or like you want to target, and obviously it's different audience segments. And for example, let's just say that a CEO might be more active on LinkedIn. You will have the other part, like a technical manager, looking for that information, relying on industry specific forums or blogs. So that's the different about the audience segments and the way that you can take advantage of the multi-channel approaching for those segments, and obviously the type of people that will you encounter along the process.
yeah. And finally, I want to say before moving to the next section that the third one that I think is very powerful, but is the hardest one to take advantage of,
Hmm.
is that you can take advantage of the price differences of different channels for different kind of people. For example, Google Ads for high intent commercial terms is very expensive. The cost per click is very high because there's a lot of competition, and you will convert into leads just a fraction of that traffic, right? 3%, 5% at most, depending on your offer. And the other 95% probably are qualified users that just didn't pull the trigger. So if you have the right setup on the analytics, and especially if you have a build up for de-anonymizing that traffic and understand which companies are visiting, then you can use a channel that is context based to just retarget or continue to promote your message to visitors of your website that came from a high intent channel to continue the conversation so they can eventually reach out if they didn't do it at first.
Yeah.
That's very powerful. And it works also the other way around. It's harder, but it works the same way. If you are promoting the brand on a broader space, just brand awareness, not a lot of focus on clicks or conversions, and you get someone that actually clicks on your message, meaning that they're engaged, that they find it useful, relevant, then you can build a list of people that have engaged with your content. And then on the intent side, you can use that group to go for broader terms that you wouldn't go if you didn't know that they are the right people.
Yeah.
Let me put an example. If you are a company that is focused on cybersecurity, for example, but you offer a very specific thing, uh, cybersecurity services for government, right? So very niche.
There is, yeah. Hmm.
So if you try to bid for that on Google, you will struggle because the volume of people typing cybersecurity services for government agencies is very small. But something else, something that you can do is that you can target government employees on LinkedIn, to put an example, or any other platform where you can source that information. And the ones that click will build a pool of users. And so on Google, you can feel comfortable saying, well, I will just target people for cybersecurity services, which is a way larger pool
Yeah. Yeah.
of searchers than cybersecurity services for the government. Yes, the search will be broader, but you will constrain it by saying, but only to people that have visited my website in the last 6 months or 3 months. So that way you can go broader, which is not helpful usually on Google or search or intent channels when you want to get high quality traffic, but you layer on top what you have done in the other. So
Hmm.
it works one way, and obviously you can make all those combinations for that because you can source information from your CRM, for example, to also um, make a layer that will filter out people that is not relevant to you. So there are many ways, but that will be a third advantage for using a multi-channel approach.
Yeah.
Now, I think the next section is quite relevant, which is because you're using multiple channels. One of the biggest challenges is that you need to remind yourself to tailor the content that you are promoting on each of them, because usually they have a preferred format, right? A preferred format. So intent usually is text heavy, right? The most important portion is the copy. Nowadays, Google, obviously, because it's trying to converge to other tools, is adding some logos there, is adding some images, but it's still the answer pretty much mimic what you will see on the search engine, and therefore it's very text heavy. And between text, you can have the other spectrum, which is places like YouTube and Reels on TikTok and short videos on other platforms. There you want to lead with video, and that video is vertical, and that video is short, and that
Yeah.
video is attention grabbing in those first 3 seconds. So it's a completely different play. And you really have to be mindful of that as you create those ads. Um, Even, for example, when you're thinking about images, it matters the how heavy the image looks like an right. So if you are building display banners, definitely you want to be more salesy. The brand is present, the logo is present. There's a clear call to action. It looks like an ad, right? So it doesn't get modeled between the whole content of the website. But native ads or ads are going on the feed of social media platforms. Usually, it's intentional that they don't look as much as ads because we want them to be, to feel as another post. So there you gotta pay more attention to the use of your hashtags and your descriptions, and the image has to be attention grabbing, but not to or ad oriented. So I think that's one of the biggest problems because it doesn't mean that you have to promote different pieces of content on each platform, right? So
Yeah.
it does make sense that if you are advertising to a group of accounts and one case study is the one that matters, then that's the piece of content that you will promote, the case study. But if the case study is going to be promoted across channels, then the copy that you put on search will be important. The image that you for the case study on display and social media will matter. And having a short video with the client providing testimonial, for example, on places where you are video heavy will matter more. So overall, the advice is tailored to the channel that you have, even if the offer is the same, right?
I want to point out really something really important as a content creator, and it's that not all content it's one size that fits all in the digital marketing world, because you will like you said, you will think that you make a short video or you make a video for that content channel, but it's not going to be the same if you upload it on TikTok or if you upload it on YouTube, because the way that it works, the way that the platform works and the audience is different, the format and the purpose of it is different. And obviously understanding that you need to adapt that content for different platforms is essential for this multi channel approach. And it will ensure you that your message it will be presented in the way that it will resonate obviously with the expectations of the other person that is seeing it, and it will match the behaviors on the platform's users, which is the important thing, that you want to share your message, but you also want to make sure that the other person that is seeing that content is gonna understand it, and is gonna it's gonna see it as an, let's just say, like when we talk about native ads, it's gonna see it like as something that they see every day. Because if you tailor that content for someone that's always using, for example, Instagram or LinkedIn, it will be usual for them to consume that type of content, and it will be as natural as them for consume that content, which is important. Not only it will resonate with them, it would make sense for them to consume that content. It will not feel like you're actually advertising for them like in a direct way, which is
Yeah.
the what we're going through, right? We're going after that. Like you said, it has different approaches and different type of ways that you can show that information. And the platform on the internet have different purposes. We got that visual content, detailed information like places like LinkedIn, or bit-sized updates like Twitter when you always want to share like news or stuff that you're working on, and the time is imperative and stuff like that. So everything that you are going to create as a content creator, and you're obviously going to share for those different channels, you always want to make sure that you're tailoring that for where you want to the other person to consume.
Yeah. And and you touched something really valuable there, saying about where people spend time, because while this is not the topic for today, something that usually get missed when you are doing that market research for your marketing efforts is that, yes, you need to know who your target market is, right? That's your ICP buying committee kind of combination, your firmographics and demographics. That's key, right? You need to know who you're talking to. Yes, you need to understand what they are searching for, or what do they care about, or how they ask for the problems that you solve and the
Mm,
potential solutions. And that's your keyword research, topic research, whatever you want to call it. But one that is get missed all the time, and why is this multi-channel approach is relevant, is that we need to know where do they spend time and how they research for what you offer, which are not the same thing,
mm,
right?
mm,
So you want to know how they search for potential solutions like yours, because you want to be present in the places where they make those questions. That's where you have your Google search engine and your Quora and your Reddits, and to some extent some social media platforms, because you want to understand if they spend time in Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups or WhatsApp groups for where they hang out with their peers and ask for advice, right? So how do they search for information for your solution is relevant. But also, you just want to know where they hang out
mm,
without searching anything, because that's where you, as you were saying, Gabby, right? Is that while you are in Instagram, or if your users are not in intent mode, not even searching, not even showing the symptoms of a problem,
mm,
completely unaware that they have a problem or that you offer a solution, then you need to be where they are, right? Where they spend time. I recently had a conversation with a company that is in this CTV space, I think it's called, which is video ads for streaming platforms,
mm,
right? So obviously, This was not very relevant years ago because most of the ads were running through regular cable providers. And so that was more of a traditional kind of play, traditional media kind of play. Your only true in-stream ads were ads like YouTube ones, right?
Hmm.
And that was pretty much restricted to mobile and to some extent desktop. But now more and more users are choosing ad versions of their streaming services. I know Hulu offers that. Amazon announced that it's
Hmm.
going to start offering a tier for advertising. And I can see B2B users, because I consider that myself, choosing no ads for some channels that they use a lot. But for some other stream services, you don't care that much, right? You don't use them as often, so you don't mind watching a 2 or 3 ads from time to time just to watch a movie. So in that scenario where you're not in search mode, it will be helpful to start showing some ads about what you do, because in B2C, that's exactly what happens, right? Most of the time, people are not searching for pharmaceuticals. They are not searching for insurance. They are not searching for, laundry products. They are not they don't have a place that they go and search for soap. Some of us do, right? Maybe ear products or whatever, but most of the time you're not. So the only route for you is to actually just show yourself or present yourself where people hang out, right? And that's what TV has done traditionally for years, and is for B2B is going to become relevant. Yes, you want to be on LinkedIn where you are spending time with peers. Yes, you want to be on TikTok or Facebook, but think about where your audiences spend time, even if they don't have their job titles and you already cap on them, right? Because getting their attention in those places matters. Even if it's just for a 15-second ad that tells the world, this is who we are, this is what we care about, and this is who we work for, right? So understanding the buyer behavior and their journey, even the beginnings of the journey when they're not aware, will give you an edge, right? Will definitely help you. Now, one important aspect of this, one challenge that comes with having a multi-channel approach, is that you want to build consistency for your brand. And
Yes.
this is something that we discuss with prospects all the time, because sometimes they say, well, how can we make our ads more interesting, more relevant, right? More catchy, kind of like viral,
Mm.
right? I challenge them on that one all the time, because I will put the example of how would you present your brand if you were going to do a billboard on the airport, or an ad on the TV or the radio, right? Or a newspaper. You will probably want to make sure that whatever you put there matches how you present yourself across all the other aspects of your company. How salespeople present themselves, how your website look like. So really, really important to have that brand guide and make sure that, especially if you're working with multiple agencies and different in-house employees that manage different channels, that they understand what is the palette of colors that you use, what is the typography that you use, the fonts, the way that you say stuff, the way that you present your products, how you name them. So you can be consistent across channels.
Yeah.
It matters because obviously is the way that you present your company, but especially because on channels that you're focused on context, you want to increase that brand lift, right? That people remember your brand.
It's memorable.
It's
Yes. It
memorable.
creates memorable. Yes.
Right. So yes,
Hmm.
it is a delicate balance. I will not say that
Hmm.
it's easy, but
Hmm.
it's yes, you want to increase attention for sure, grab attention, but at the same time, you want to make sure that people associate that with your brand. I
Yes.
have seen many times ads that are fantastic. They are eye catching. But if you ask the person, do you know what company was that? They don't have the answer. They just find it funny, or they just find it interesting. So definitely invest time to make sure that the association with your brand is consistent with what you have done so far. We, for example, insist a lot on your ad has to match your content or the page that you're sending people when you're doing that, because that the ad represents your sneak peek into
Yeah.
your true offer, which is the content that you have on your landing page or the website. So really match that to some extent. I think that's important.
Yeah.
So and finally, I don't know, Gabby, if you were going to say
No,
something.
yeah. I just think that like you said, like making this memorable, it's what creates on people's mind that this brand is consistent. This brand is it has created some extent experiences for that person. Like you said, if something's funny, if something really caters to your mind, and that's what creates that. It's like a cohesive thought in your head that this is something that I can trust because I have seen it in different platforms or different channels, and it's trustworthy and it's dependable. You can actually say that I can depend on this company or this product because it is trustworthy. You can actually say that because you've seen it in the different places, and it's like just the same, but it has different ways to present it.
Yes.
Hmm.
And finally, I will say, gaining a competitive edge when you are working with channel approaches is just recognizing those differences, right? So
Yeah.
if your company is present not just on intent channels, but also on context channel, and your competition is not, it's focused on intent because that's where they're generating the lead, you are going to have an edge because your cost per lead is going to be lower than your competitors. Because when someone see your ad, when they're searching for the category of your product, they're going to recognize your brand. They have seen it before, and that will give you an edge even if you're competing for the same keywords on the space with your competition. That's a big one. And the second one that will give you an edge is this example that I was using about building awareness even when someone is not thinking about you or the problems that you have, right? So being in the places where people spend the time will give you an edge because you will be in front of someone before they even start thinking about your company. Something that probably some of your competitors will not do because they will not find value in the form of additional leads at the beginning.
Yeah.
And what will happen is that your future volume will increase and the cost of those leads will lower themselves because you have that presence before. And finally, what we were saying, the other thing that builds an edge is being able to cross reference traffic and audiences from multiple sources, right? If you set up the right foundation on your web analytics, your CRM, your product use, you will be able to use all that data to narrow down the target that you have on intent, narrow down the target that you have on context, and that will help you to save dollars and have a higher impact and more results, better results with the same or less money or ad spend than your competition. So definitely invite you to explore all of that. And yeah, I think that for all that's all that we have. It has been a blast. And Gabby, as always, thank you for set up all this and drive the conversation. I really enjoyed this episode.
Oh, me too. Don't miss the next one, people. We are getting more and more people on around our episodes. We are going to make a little video because we have reached some views on our the Magent Studio platform.
Yes.
So we are really excited about that. And here's the link to our website. So don't miss it. Then not get notified and tell everyone around you about this. And we are so happy to share this with you. And I hope that you're happy with this information too. So
All
until
right.
the next time.
Thank you.
Bye bye, William.